climb its most recent Zwift Racing League event on New York's Everything Bagel, a tough near 35km course with over 500 metres of elevation, including two, yes count them two, climbs up the New York KOM, once in both directions. Let's jump straight into it.
So we'll jump straight in here. The race has obviously started only just 0.2 kilometres on the clock there, so not very far into this race. And in a minute I'm going to flash up the course for today, and it shows us the different segments that are in play. So the New York KOM reverse and forward, and two sprint segments there. So this race is a points race, so there is points available for each one of those segments for the first 10 riders across the line and the fastest 10 riders through each segment. There's also finishing points available for each position that you finish. Obviously the higher up the more points you get, and then at the end of the race all that's added together to decide which team wins. So while finishing position is important, you are looking for the segment points here. So even if you're not at the front of the race, if you can pull out a good sprint and get a good segment time, you can possibly get some points for your team. And it's not just the rider who wins, their team wins. That's good. Just a quick fade away there. We've sped up a little bit just as we're coming into the first section of the climb. So we're going up the New York King of the Mountains reverse first, I believe, and what's important to note about this is that you can see we're climbing already. We're coming up onto the glass roads of the New York course, but none of this is in the segment at the moment. So I'm playing a little bit of a game of knowing that I've got the segment coming, which is where I really want to put my best power down, but also guys are going to try and separate the race a little bit here early. If you can get away with a group of 5 and gap the people behind you before the segment even starts, you're in a good place to get some of those first across the line points. So we're playing a bit of a chess game, really, I suppose, all of us, putting enough power down to potentially stay in the front group or gap the group, but trying to save enough power that we can actually put our best power into the segment here. And there's a little KOM marker coming up. This isn't the start of the KOM we're doing. This is the New York KOM, which is we're going to do later in the race, this direction. The reverse KOM actually starts after this little climb, after a little bit of a turn. So again, I'm just sitting at the back of this little separated group, just trying to keep my power up in play, but also trying to keep myself in a position that I'm hopefully going to stay with that front group when we get to the actual segment. So the profile for the climb should come up in a minute, and you can see that it's definitely sort of two distinct ramps there. There's a big ramp at the beginning, it levels off a bit, there's another ramp as well, so you can see that there's sort of two distinct ramps in this climb. Not huge in length, but after you've already basically done the same length of climb before you even got to the segment. And you can see from my graph in the top corner there's a lot of red already in my race. So, and I'm at about 175 BPM, so I'm certainly not slacking here. So here we go. Here's the segment. We start now in a good position to begin with. I'm in the top 10. Hopefully gonna get some points is what I'm thinking. And again, I'm just trying to stay with this group at the moment. I know that I'm towards the front, in overall power numbers in this race. This is a C-Cat race, but I'm by no means the strongest. There's quite a bit of ceiling left when we look at FTP. The Zwift Racing League is still using the old watt per kilo calculations for their races this season. They're not using ZRS, so C is up to about 3.4 watt per kilo ish over the 20 minutes for your FTP, and my FTP at the moment is probably around 3.1, so there's a bit of a ceiling there. But this is a Division 2 race, and from the previous races I've done, I know that that I'm there or thereabouts when in this field, but I'm certainly by no means the strongest. Checking back in with what's going on in the race rather than me talking about my FTP. We're sitting pretty. We're over that first ramp. We're sitting fourth. I'm thinking, hang on, am I one of the strongest in this race? Perhaps am I? Maybe I'm underestimating myself. Spoiler: I was not underestimating myself. You'll see here what happens in the second half of this climb. I essentially start to go backwards. These riders have obviously saved a little bit more than I have, unfortunately, and the race starts to get away from me a little bit. There's a couple of riders around me, but the front of the race, that gap is going up. Look at it; it's already at 4-5 seconds. And it's not getting any closer, which is a shame. We've still got a little bit more climbing to go here. There is a little bit of plateau here, which hopefully I can save a little bit of energy. There is a lot of red in my graph, as you can see. I'm up at almost 180 beats per minute, so I'm really sort of working hard here. But yeah, that gap is just getting bigger, isn't it? Sort of 10 seconds now from the guys at the front. But I'm not panicking as such. I know in the top 10, I know I'll hopefully be able to pick up a few first across the line points. I might still be able to pick up some fastest through segment points because pretty much everybody started together in this first time up the climb. There was nobody away, there was nobody behind who's been saving their energy to go up this climb as fast as they can. But it's not quite going to plan here. So I'm slipping down. I'm in 13th. There's a few guys in front of me that look like they're a little bit faster. It does plateau off a little bit before you get to the banner, though. The banner's, you can see it just ahead there. It's that sort of orangey blue thing on the road in front. So I know that if I keep the power on, I can maybe hopefully grab the last couple of positions. Maybe I'll catch somebody napping a little bit. I've got this guy, I'm in 11th, and there's this guy, he's not even a second in front of me, but he's a few meters, and I'm slowly catching him. I'm trying to keep that power on. Will I? It's going to be close. It was not meant to be. So yeah, no first across the line points, no fastest through segment points. I was 11th for both of those, as you can see. I think it stayed that way. But yeah, unfortunately 11th. Now, I've sped this segment up because it's just the downhill. And you can see I've got a little bit of a group here. And the front group is about sort of 20 seconds in front of us. What I wanted to highlight here was that we're working, essentially. We think that on this downhill we should be able to catch this little group in front of us. They're going to be taking it hopefully quite easy because, let's face it, we've all just done a big climb. If we keep the power on, we should be able to close it. And yeah, that's what I do. And you can see here that I'm still sort of pushing some yellow. I'm still pushing in my FTP zone. I up the power a little bit here as this guy sort of tries to go away. I want us to get back to that front group, and it's working slowly but surely. The front group's at 10 seconds. We're bringing them back, but it's taking a lot of effort. I'm putting in some hard effort here, for a good 4 or 5 minutes to try and catch this group in front, and you'll see that it eventually does get together. They've sat up, I expect, for the sprint as we come off the glass roads, and we come straight through. In classic Zwift style, I go straight through the front of the group. I'm at the front, quick, take a picture. It's the only time that's going to happen today, and it didn't last long as someone else that was in the group I went in. Nothing much happened. Then we came off the glass roads back onto the roads in the park, and there's a little bit of a sprint segment coming up here. Now you can see this sort of little lump in front of us. Essentially, the sprint banner is about halfway down that sort of blue bit as it comes back down again. So people normally on this sprint go off early, and you can see it's happening again, because if you can get a gap over this little bit of a climb, you should be able to keep that as you come downhill towards the segments. I am trying to put in some numbers here. I'm trying to keep up with this group, but again, I've put a lot of energy into that chase, and my legs just don't seem to have the sprint capacity of some of the guys in this race. And I'm 8th. I'm thinking, maybe as we hit the actual segment, maybe I'll be able to get some points. And it stays that way. I do manage to keep that 8th. I get some first across the line points. I think initially it does show me as getting fastest through segment points, but that did not play out. Obviously, some of the guys who got dropped on the climb saved a bit more energy, went a bit harder, and managed to take any fastest through segment points off me, so I didn't actually get those there. Getting a little bit of a speed up here to show how the group came back together. It certainly wasn't simple. Again, I had to put a little bit of energy into that chase to get back into that front group, but managed it again, and we're fast forward again a little bit into sort of the next crucial point of the race. So in the Everything Bagel route, what happens is you essentially do all the different roads, I believe, in New York at some point. So to get back onto the glass roads to approach the the New York KOM forward, there's this climb. Now, it isn't segmented, it hasn't got any points available, but you can see it's a decent old kicker. It's 8, 9, 10, over 10% in parts for around about a kilometre. So it's always going to be a bit of a point of attack for people. I think luckily most people are feeling pretty knackered by this point. You can see what we're 30 minutes in. I've got 60 stress score there. My heart rate is at 175. My average is about my FTP. My FTP is around 245, or is it 247 watts or something like that. So I've been pretty much doing my FTP since the start of this race. Most people here seem to be playing a little bit of a game of, I'm going to put a bit of power on in the hope that somebody drops off, and I think one person maybe dropped off. You can't see on the mini map there, but I think maybe one person was left behind, but also, nobody's really going to go out for an all-out attack here. I mean, you can see why. There's nothing really to gain here. If you put in a big effort and the people come back to you before the climb, you've just wasted a load of energy and ruined any chance, really, if you're getting any first across the line or fastest through segment points on the actual climb where it counts. But if you were feeling strong, you could maybe attack up here, see if you get maybe a small group away to work with you. But in our race, it didn't happen. Basically, it didn't happen that way. We just we all hung fire, did what we could, put a little bit of a power on, and actually look, I'm at the front of the race again. Maybe that wasn't the only time that was happening today. Quick, mum, take a picture. Take a picture, mum. Oh no, there we go. It's ended again. I'm not at the front anymore. But yeah, that was that little bit of a nasty little climb, and like the rest of New York, there's a few rollers here before we get to the actual climb proper. I think that's the problem with New York. Well, not the problem, but that's what makes New York challenging in general, is that there isn't a flat road. It's rolling throughout, up and down, little steep inclines here of 7, 8, 9%, and where you just have to put the power down, and it just keeps you working hard all day. Just fast forward again here, just as we come to the base of the climb. The profile should flash up again a little bit. You see that this one is a little bit longer. There you go, with the steep part really in the middle. There is a little bit of a kick again towards the end, but the main part of the climb is that steep bit in the middle. This time it does include this little glass segment as we turn into it, and we've already been past this banner once. You'll see it on the right hand side, but this is where this KOM segment kicks in. So it does include this first little climb this time, and yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that at this point in the race that other people's legs are as tired as mine. what I tend to find is that when a race is quite hard, I can normally stay pretty consistent. I can put out good power numbers throughout, even if the race has been hard, and they may not be the best power numbers overall, but I can hit sort of relatively consistent numbers for a 5-minute effort at the beginning and a 5-minute effort at the end. I'm hoping that plays to my advantage here at the start of this climb, and I'm towards the front, so I was feeling quite positive. I mean, this guy manages to speed right off, so he's obviously very powerful. I'm not sure how he's got so much energy to sprint off at that speed, but he's certainly already got himself a gap. There's a small gap behind there to a rider. So we're already beginning to drop a few. And this is the point really. This is the steepest part of the climb. This is where it's all going to happen, and you'll see that it all was going to happen, but maybe I wasn't going to be involved in that. I've got my head down. I'm trying to put some numbers out. I look up and I go, oh no. You can see how I try to respond by increasing my numbers and going, oh no. But it does come back to me a little bit. I'm bringing them back in. A couple of riders are struggling a little bit as well, and I am bringing those wheels back. That guy appeared from the shadow realm. I'm not sure where he went, and I dropped my feather here. I think, it's the only I need to drop it here if I'm going to attempt to stay with anyone. I've got to do it now. Unfortunately, the rest of the race seems to drop it at exactly the same point, negating any feather help that I would get. That I'm not in fourth. I don't know why it's telling me I'm fourth. But I'm still in the top 10. I'm thinking, well, there's a few people in front of me. I'm in the top 10. I might be able to squeeze out 5th, 6th, 7th maybe, but it's just getting away from me a little bit there. Again, the guys in front of me just a little bit too strong, and the seconds are eking out already. 3 seconds to that little group in front. 8, 9, 10 seconds to the guys in front of them again. But I've still got a chance of hopefully getting some first across the line points. Making all this effort worth it. Again, it flattens off a little bit at the top here before there's just a nice little kick just before the banner. But there's quite a large section of flat here, but you can't really rest. You need to get the power down and try and keep that power fairly consistent, or at least high, because everybody else is. Every second counts for fastest through segment points, and as well as the first across the line points. So I'm just trying to bring myself back to these two, and maybe that group in front, hopefully trying to pick up a few points here just as we approach this final little kicker towards the banner. But I am swinging. Look at that, 84 stress points, 174, 240 average. This is certainly one of the hardest rides I have probably ever done on Zwift. That guy smashes a feather. He's managed to keep that, and he's gone past all of us. So, say goodbye to that. This guy, he's going backwards, so I managed to sneak myself up into 10th position. But however, it doesn't seem like it's going to be any higher than that, because the guys in front of me are just pulling away. So I start thinking, okay, well, let's just try and keep this position. Where's this guy behind me? Is he behind me? Is he there? I don't know. So I just try and keep that power on, just hoping that the guy behind me, he's a couple of seconds, it should be fine. I should get 10th. Oh, yes, I get 10th. So, some first across the line points there, but I don't think I got any fastest through segments. Someone maybe behind got those. So just the descent here to pick up and see what happened with that. I use my anvil to try and chase this little group in front. What I don't want to do is lose that sort of, 7th to 10th group that appears to be forming in front of us. So really try and get there. There's also a sprint segment here to play for, which I'm hoping that might give me a little bit of ability to get the guys in front of me, and it's already started. We're already past the banner. I hit that really fast if I can. Try and sprint through, and I actually managed to pip, I think, both these guys on the line. So I managed to get myself, ninth, I think it was. At the time, you can see that actually I was the second fastest through that. It didn't stay that way. A couple of the guys from behind, who were obviously not at the front of the race, did do faster times, but I think I did manage to get some fastest through segment points there as well. And here we are. We're approaching the finish now, about 1.6 kilometres from the end. I just wanted to highlight this bit because you'll see, just as we go through this this like rise in the road, it's not a climb really, a couple of riders just decide to put the power on. And at this point in the race, I haven't got anything left to chase them. So a few riders just manage to sneak off the front, and they begin to hold that gap, and it just gets slightly bigger, and it just gets slightly bigger, and it just gets slightly bigger, and suddenly those two are up the road, and we're fighting for 8th position at the back here. And I think everybody's legs are a bit dull at this point. Look, I've done 106 stress score. My heart rate's in the high 190s. That must be a malfunction. And nobody actually wants to launch their sprint. You'll see it. The meters are ticking down, and nobody's going. Eventually, I decide to try and put some power down. I'm instantly dwarfed by these two in front of me, who put over 10 watts per kilo down, and I'm not putting over 10 watts per kilo down. The guy behind there, he gives up, which was good for me, which means I got 10th. And I would have taken that at the beginning of the race, to be fair. Top 10 was my highest position in Zwift Racing League and CCAT so far. And to be honest, I was just really proud of my overall performance, really. You'll see at the end here that I managed to 5-minute power BBs, 10-minute power BB, 20-minute power BB, and an hour power BB, which you'll see them as they come through here. So, really proud of my performance, really pushed myself really hard. If you did like this race recap, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm hopefully going to do some more, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.